The Open Mic Podcast is brought to you by Mechanics Bank. Mechanics Bank is here to help you with everyday life, whether that's buying a home, renovating a kitchen, or paying for college. They have the products and, more importantly, the people to help you breathe easy and say, that's better. Check out mymechanics.com, call or visit to see how they can make banking better for you. Mechanics Bank is an equal housing lender. Welcome back to the Open Mic Podcast. I'm your host, Noah Jones. Today I'm with a friend of mine who lived in Galion for a while and has now moved to the place where it never snows, South Carolina. Eric Barnett, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. How was the drive up from the down south? I guess that's south.
Yeah, Charleston. Yep, south and east, right on the ocean. It's about a 12-hour total drive. I did it like overnight 2 nights ago. So
okay.
I do that so there's less traffic, but
yeah, I'm not a fan of driving in the night though. I feel like my vision, we're both glasses wearers, so I think you'll understand this, has dramatically declined since my middle school days. And so like I actually get a little nervous. Plus I have no idea where state troopers are, which is also scary.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of day driving, but I understand the traffic idea. For sure.
Yeah, it really impacts everything because I'm lagging on sleep now, thus the relaxed coffee in my hands.
Yeah, welcome back, home of relaxed coffee, of course.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Tell me a little bit about what's going on that you're doing. I know that we mentioned before we got started that you've been doing a lot of shows and open mic shows. Mm-hmm. I almost said open mic podcast.
Yeah,
this is the main one. Yeah. And talk to me a little bit about that. It's interesting to me because that's how we met at an open mic night in town, and super cool that, just like it's a great way to meet people.
Yeah, well, I moved to Charleston almost 2 years ago, and when I first got there, it was pretty daunting. I've never lived in any sort of city before. Mansfield was a city compared to Galion, where I grew up.
Right.
And Charleston's really not that big of a city, but to a country boy, it absolutely is. So I spent pretty close to the first year not really doing much. But then I started going to open mic nights, and actually in Charleston, like Monday through Thursday, you can go somewhere. And there's usually, you have your pick. And going to a lot of those open mic nights and playing my songs, you start meeting a lot of like-minded people. I really, honestly, wasn't meeting a whole lot of people any other way. I knew some coworkers, and my wife has some family down there, but it was really meeting a lot of friends at those open mic nights. And then, you start developing relationships and people start hearing your songs, and open mics are starting to turn into gigs, which is a cool thing.
Right.
And yeah, it's building traction, which I'm sure as well, starting at the open mic nights, and it helps you build those performance muscles,
For sure. It's a great way to also just like test out your new songs. You
Absolutely,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to like sort of see if people are clapping or hissing.
Yeah. Find out what works and
right.
what doesn't. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, where you can belt it and where you can't.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you're here with your guitar. I'm super, super stoked about that.
Yeah.
You've got a brand new song, a single that you're planning on releasing shortly, soonish.
Soon. We'll say soon right now, so I don't pin myself down.
Sure,
to a
yeah. Don't want to put any pressure on you. And you're also going to play one of my favorite songs of yours, "Slow Sip of Whiskey," which was on your "Shipwreck in the Bottle" album from back when you were just about to leave, right?
Yeah, actually, what had happened was I had about a whole album worth of material written. And I was working in a factory. I worked in a factory for 13 years.
Right.
And I never had the chance to go out and play because I worked third shift, usually 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. And actually, the factory closed. So when the factory closed, I was like, okay, what are we going to do now? And we decided if we're ever going to move, now's the time to move. And if I'm ever going to finally record this album that's been in my head, it's time to do that. So my wife actually went down to Charleston 6 months ahead of me, and I stayed behind and sold the house and recorded the album. And I had it all lined up to where the house sold, had the CD release party, and actually you wrote a wonderful article on the CD release that helped me greatly here. And the CD release party happened, and I woke up the next morning and threw everything in the car and went to Charleston. So yeah, the album dropped like right when I moved there. So it really wasn't the best business decision because I didn't have shows or a tour or anything lined up. I went to a brand new place, but it's eventually starting to come around down there, and they're liking the music and all
Sure.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
of course they would. It's great. I think that songwriting is a great skill that you have. I
thank
really
you.
admire the allusions and metaphors and songwriting that you do. I think it's great.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
very
that.
welcome. You're very welcome. And I think that you told me when I was writing the article that you recorded it in your basement by yourself, correct?
Yeah.
That's got to be sort of daunting.
A little.
Had you had much experience? I don't remember what you told me then.
One of the things I went to college for and didn't graduate college with was recording.
Oh, okay.
And I really like recording music. I really like recording my own music. I realized to work in a recording studio, you got to record pretty much anybody that walks in and pays you.
Right.
And it would really be a bummer sitting through take after take after take of music that you're not in love with.
Right.
You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
So that part of it, and it really helps also with, it costs a lot of money to go in a recording studio.
I was going to say, for sure. I don't know. Locally, it's not horrible.
Right.
Especially when you have people who are your friends doing it, like Ricky Mitchell, for instance, or
yeah.
Aaron Nicholas.
Right.
They're relatively well priced, but I think you go to places in Hawaii or New York City or wherever, Nashville, and it gets not cheap quickly.
Yeah, when you have a community like this, it's more artists and friends, but in a recording studio, it's a business.
Yeah.
And kind of the other side of that coin is when it comes to the songs I write, I'm sort of a control freak. Whenever I write something, I kind of have a bit of a producer's brain, and even though I'm playing acoustic guitar and singing something, I hear parts, and then I'll bring friends in, and I already have it so locked down inside my head that they're playing something, and it's nothing on what they're playing at all, but I'm just like, okay, that's not what I'm hearing. So
Sure.
some friends made it onto the record. Actually, Kate Westfall sang background vocals on a couple tracks.
Right.
But I played most everything. I have some friends playing here and there.
Gotcha. Cool. And you had a friend, Ori Rush, make the CD cover.
Yeah,
too.
Ori did some wonderful artwork. He
Yeah.
designed a bandana and did some really good drawings. And
Yeah, there's very little he can't do well.
Oh,
I
he
feel
is
like it's sort of sucks.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. He can animate, play just a mean guitar, write great songs.
Grows great hair.
Yeah,
it's just everything.
Yeah, and that as a bald person, that's even double unfair. So, yeah.
Right. Well, cool. Do you want to start off by talking a little bit about Slow Sip of Whiskey, which
Sure.
has the lyric "Shipwreck in a Bottle" as one of the very first
Yeah.
parts of it?
I was actually watching. Do you remember the show? It was either the late '90s or early 2000s. There was a show called Sports Night.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a really funny. It was a comedy, but it had its serious moments. It had a lot of heart to it as a show.
Yeah. No, it was a great show. It was
I think
sort
it was
of about journalism.
Yeah, I think it was Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Like before pre-West Wing and all that.
Yeah.
And I was watching that show, and I think it might have been the same episode that somebody name dropped Tom Waits. So I'm already in, and I heard there were a couple, and they're kind of starting to date each other, and he told her that she's like a slow sip of whiskey, and I was like, okay, yeah, I got the rest of the song written there. So I got to admit, I stole a little bit of it from Aaron Sorkin, and whoever wrote that show, I probably owe them a royalty check of maybe a third of the 2 pennies I've made. But yeah, my wife and I have been together for about 16 years now, and I'd never written her a song. You're always afraid that it's going to go over too sappy, or it's not going to, if you're really in love with somebody, you really want to write a song that's, worthy.
Sure.
And so I took that first line, and the rest started kind of coming to me and weaving itself together. And I actually wrote the rest of it at the factory on a little piece of paper that I kept stuffing in my pocket whenever the supervisor would come around. And before you knew it, I had a song. And it's still one of those that, like when I'm down in Charleston, I'm playing it for people. It's one of the ones people will come up and say, hey, that one's good. And
that's how I felt the first time I heard it. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Was it hard to write without a guitar in your hand? Like for me, I have to have the musical instrument that's sort of backing me up.
Yeah. It's funny. I write so slow. And if I start with a guitar, I'll tend to write music I really like or it's really fun to play. And lyrics are so hard once the music is in place because I won't be able to know where I want to go with it. But if I start with a lyric, a lot of the times that can go to a melody. And most of the time, if I have a melody, I can kind of go, okay, that's the 1 chord, that's the 4 chord, and then you sort of just drag the capo around till you get it right.
Right.
And so if I'm going to write a song fast, lyrics will come first. But actually, that's the kind of thing where I have no idea when that's going to hit. You know, I've never successfully sat down to write a song and have written a song.
Yeah. No, I think that is hard because I was on Instagram not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, and John Mayer, who is a great follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sunday night on his Instagram Live or just in general, he sort of made these, like, it must have been in January because they were like New Year's resolutions for him in terms of music writing, and he was like, take 15 minutes to sit down and write a song to yourself for like 15 minutes in complete and total silence. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's too much pressure. Like, because I would sit there just being like, what am I doing? And so no, I think that for me at least, I come up with the like basic chords, so like the G, the C, the D, and then an F or something, and then I like play it over and over again, and I try and like hum out a melody, and then I try and put words over it. So I just think that everyone has different writing styles, but I think that's a good thing because that's how we sort of make individually different songs. You know, like if everyone wrote the same way, we may have very similar cookie cutter music in the world.
Absolutely. I watched an Eagles documentary recently, and Glenn Fry used to live above Jackson Browne.
Okay.
And he said he would every morning he would hear Jackson Browne get up, put the teapot on, and then sit at the piano for 3 hours. He did it like it was his job, like he was clocking in, you know, and then clocking out. And it would be nice to have that sort of time and discipline. But he definitely goes about it in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. Would you like to play it for us?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty, awesome. Here is Slow Sip of Whiskey.
She's a shipwreck in a bottle. She's lightning in a jar. She's pulling on the strings to this heart. She's the furnace and the fire, the shovel and the coal. She's a slow sip of whiskey to my soul. She's the lightning and the thunder, the rumble and the quake. She's moonlight's mirror image on the lake. She's the giver and the taker, the maker and the mold. She's a slow sip of whiskey to my soul. She comes on like a fever. She leaves just like a dream. She's the thread and she's the needle, and she's the seam. And she can cut just like a razor, but I hang on every word. And every breath that I pull into my lungs, I breathe for her. She's my sail and my anchor, the sea and she's the shore. She's the part of me that I spend my life looking for. I found my needle in a haystack, and I will never let her go. She's a slow sip of whiskey to my soul. She's a slow sip of whiskey to my soul.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So what was your wife's reaction to it? She loved it?
It was, yes, I think she was a little embarrassed.
Okay.
It's not every day somebody writes you a song. So,
Sure.
not everybody can be Patty Harrison and have about 50 songs by George Harrison and Eric Clapton about her. But,
That's right.
but she likes it. She likes it. Still, if we're out in a strange place at an open mic and I play it, a lot of people are kind of looking at her like, oh, this one's about you, huh? So, but she does like it.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. That's a positive. It's a positive thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about what you're doing now. I understand that you're redoing a friend of yours in Cincinnati who happens to be a St. Louisan, which is very important to me.
Absolutely.
His music. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, my partner in crime in all of this is a really good friend named Matt Bauman, and he is the best singer-songwriter I know. And he writes songs like breathing. I mean, just incredible, fantastic songs come out of him. And they come out of him so fast.
I have a friend like that, too.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm so envious.
And they come out so fast, and he always loves the newest. And part of loving the newest is he always kind of doesn't like the old ones so much anymore. And they don't all get released. And he's always really good about sending me demos of everything he does. I'm really bad about that. I don't send him anything until I feel like it's fully cooked, just because his stuff is so good. I feel like it helps me up my game, but it also kind of really makes me kick myself about the songwriting.
Right.
So a lot of these songs of his were falling through the cracks and getting unreleased. And I went back through my Gmail account and just pulled out every MP3 he sent me and was listening back to a lot of those. And I'm going to record an EP of some of those songs, which I think they're just fantastic songs, and it'd be a shame for the world to not hear them. So I haven't started on that one yet, but that one's coming up.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun to get to do. I mean, I have several friends whose music I would love to be able to play, so
Yeah.
that sort of thing, that's really cool, and a cool thing for him, too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. He's excited about it as well.
That's awesome. And you grew up in Galion, and you've moved now to South Carolina, and you've written a song about your hometown.
Yeah, actually, the last time I came back up here, I've devised this pretty good scheme where when you go visit your hometown, everybody wants you to come visit, and that's cool. I want to see everybody, but you literally don't have enough time to drive around and visit every friend. So the scheme I come up with is I book shows.
Sure.
And they'll all come to the shows. It makes me look like I'm popular to the owner of a bar, and it gives them a chance to come out. So the last time I came up, I spent a day actually at Matt Bauman's place in Cincinnati, and he had to work, so I was in his basement, and completely unexpectedly being back in Ohio and thinking about going back to my hometown, and the song kind of fell right out of me, and I played it that night and had to look over at the piece of paper and kind of messed it up a couple times. But the next move, actually before I do the EP of Matt's songs, I want to kind of just record this and put it out as a single. You know, with Spotify and Apple Music, singles are kind of equivalent to albums sometimes, so that'll be sort of the next move, is to do a single of this one.
Gotcha. Well, cool. And so that name is, of course, This Town.
Yeah.
Would you mind playing for us?
Sure, yeah.
Alrighty.
Keep my bar tab open. I'm closing this place down, 'cause I've don't know where I'm going or when I'll be back around. I don't need a hero's welcome like the prodigal son. I just need a place to hang my hat when my day is done. Oh, this town is in my veins. Let's raise our glass to everyone we know. Drink to all our happiness and sorrows. And I love this fellowship of every draft and dram. And I'm grateful for the people who've made me who I am. Oh, this town is in my veins. This town is in my veins. They say you can't go home. They don't know the place I've grown to call my own. It's beating in my heart. It's coursing through my brain. This town is in my veins. And I miss those quiet hours just before dawn. And I miss my family when I am gone. The friends that left before me and those that stayed behind. And dodging all the potholes out on county line. This town is in my veins. Oh, this town is in my veins. They say you can't go home. They don't know the place I've grown to call my own. It's beating in my heart. It's coursing through my brain. This town, it's in my veins.
That's sweet. I like the homecoming. I mean, it's obviously very homecoming appropriate songs for.
Yeah,
I love it. It's very, very great.
Thank you.
Very good. And we already sort of discussed a little bit about why you wrote it, but it just seems like the sort of song that's perfect for when you're homesick.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, just being back in Ohio again, and there's different kinds of drivers here, and everything's different, and
It's funny
almost,
you say that.
Yeah.
There are very different drivers here.
Yeah, and well, better than South Carolina.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you that.
Okay, interesting. That's not my take on
yeah.
the comparison between us and St. Louisans, but
Okay. The thing about South Carolina is everybody who lives there is from somewhere else. Charleston's a lot of people are moving to Charleston. And when you get different types of drivers and you throw them together, that's when the chaos starts.
I'm sure.
Everybody in Ohio is a similar kind of bad driver, so that makes it a little bit more predictable,
especially in like
and
a
manageable.
smaller town like Mansfield, or I lived in Bowling Green for 4 years when I was going to school there.
That's where I went to college.
Oh, okay.
BJC,
I didn't know that. Roll along, man. Roll along.
You know it.
But like all the drivers there, like we all sort of assimilated to the same sort of mistakes, and eventually you're just like cool with it.
And you know what to look for. You're
right.
like, okay, this driver's about to do this. It's not going to be right, but at least I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's the whole defensive driving technique.
Yeah.
Well, so I didn't realize that so many people, I guess, are exporting, or what's the right word there? Transferring.
Or
transplanting. That's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
To
Charleston.
Charleston.
Yeah.
What is that for? Like, are there just
Charleston? Charleston's awesome.
Yeah.
I've
heard that.
Yeah, there's beaches. It's got it all, really. There's beaches. There's a lot of culture there. even though South Carolina is in the South and it is a red state, Charleston is very progressive. A lot of Bill Murray lives in Charleston. You can run into him every now and then.
That's
Darius
cool.
Ruckers
Have you
in
seen
Charleston.
him?
Yeah.
Really?
Actually, the first time I went down, I went to a music festival and he just walked right by.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so crazy.
So having the beach and having a nice town, it's a city, but you don't feel like you're in a big city.
Sure.
In the downtown part, there's no worry about crime or anything like that. Suburbs are really nice. So actually, everybody in Charleston's from somewhere else. We kind of get a bad rap, Ohioans down there. There's a website called goBackToOhio.com. So when you get there, you feel like maybe there's not going to be much love for you. But when you start meeting the people face to face, and they realize that Ohioans are okay. We're not
all big Ohio State fans.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going there to impose our will upon them or anything.
I just lost
like
a ton of listenership, but that's okay.
Man, well, I got to say, even though I went to Bowling Green, I'm a Michigan State guy. I got a cousin.
Well, my stepbrother went to Michigan State,
Okay,
so
right
it's
on.
better than Michigan, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin plays basketball for Michigan State. So.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, the final thing I want to talk about, and
Sure.
unfortunately, it's not going to get published until well after, but we've got a show tonight, which I'm very excited about playing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We've never been on the same bill,
Right.
Because I think I sort of started playing out as you were leaving.
Unless you can count the open mic.
Well, I do,
Yeah.
obviously, absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
But Brady and I were actually, because Brady's in the American Collective with me,
Yeah.
and basically, I think we were sort of discussing the show a week ago or something, and. Yeah, I was talking about. I was like, "Yeah, Eric Barnett. Do you know him?" He goes, "Yeah, I know Eric. It's how I met him at the open mic nights."
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I know it all. Full circle podcast. Coming back to how
100%,
important
man.
open mics are.
And I'd love to have you guys come down and visit me down there.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely make that
Yeah.
happen eventually. I'm sure.
You'll love it. Every time I come back up and I play a show and all my friends are there, I say, "Well, I love coming here, but let's do this at my house next time."
Yeah, save you some gas money.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's go warm up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining the Open Mic podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.